Hi everybody and welcome back to AFTV. I'm your host Laurie. I'm here today to present a preview of Arsenal's upcoming game against Leeds. I've got a couple of esteemed guests with me. To my right, I've got my boy Dan, Potts in the building. I've also got a special guest, my boy James Toon, commonly known as the Leeds fan, Leeds fan.
The Leeds fan, I'll take that, mate. The short Leeds fan.
The Leeds fan in London.
Perhaps. Yeah, there's not too many of us. Found one at the studio actually while we were leaving, funnily enough.
Oh, wow.
Bit of a geezer, yeah. But I have to say, mate, it's a beautiful day outside this stadium. I'm freezing my ass off, though. This guy's come here with the works, the scarf, the gloves. He's come prepared as always.
As always, man. But let's get to it. Dan, let's start with you. Let's start with last weekend, because I think we need to put this game into context. The game against Man United, very disappointing. At first, home loss of the season, which obviously makes the game against Leeds a lot more important. What was your thoughts on the game against Man United, just briefly?
If I'm honest, I can probably generally speak on how we've been playing, because I think it ties into this game. Because take away into Milan, I've been disappointed with Arsenal, particularly in the Premier League. I don't think we've quite found our feet for the last few weeks. And I know that we're top and it's not really time to be doom and gloom, but to be 4 points clear, you'd probably accept that if I gave you that in 2026. But to think what could have been in the circumstances, the expectations may change. You could put the league to bed with maybe 12, 13 points ahead. And I think most people on paper would have thought that Arsenal would have beaten the Liverpool and Forest side and probably had as favourites to beat Manchester United. 2 points out of 9 isn't great, in my opinion. I don't think that we've had enough creativity and I don't think we've had enough in attack. And I think that's essentially the only thing that could let us down. If we get to May and we are finishing without something, which I think is what we deserve, a trophy. I think we'll look back not to the defence of Arsenal, we'll look back to the attack. And I do feel like some of the defenders probably have the right to be knocking on the door saying to our attackers, where are you? Like, I'm doing my job, I'm trying to help what I can, and you guys seem to be letting us down up the top there. Now, you can look at it another way and say we've conceded 5 goals here in the last 2 games, and that's supposed to be the best defence in the world. But I look at it right now and feel like we're not quite the Arsenal that perhaps we were a few games back when we were blitzing teams like Spurs, Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid. So I think it's quite a good time to play Arsenal, but it's also a good time to look at how Arsenal are right now, going to bounce back from this, and if they can bounce back, because that was a disappointing performance against Manchester United. Albeit they deserved it and they were better than us on the day. I don't think we can look at anything really and take much positives from it. So I was disappointed, man.
Yeah. And obviously this weekend is absolute must win. I know we say this every week, but in light of what happened last week against Man United, we absolutely have to win against Leeds, right?
We do, and I took a lot of positives from what Arteta was saying. I feel like he kind of knew in the press conference that we weren't happy with that performance. The players weren't happy, the fans are definitely not happy, and I don't think that he was. I think he knows he's got to react now. We've got to bounce back from that. Now, it's not an easy place to go, and we'll get into it, because Ellen Road is not another place that we like going to. But I've got to be honest, I do feel like this team owes the fans a reaction, owes us a bounce back, and that's what I'm hoping we get.
Yeah, definitely agree with pretty much everything you said there. Moving over to our Leeds fan, James. Now, James, speaking of Ellen Road, you're a big Leeds fan. You've been there many times. Right, you pretty much said it for me. I've not been to Ellen Road, but I have heard it is a fortress. Tell us what Arsenal can expect when they rock up at Leeds this weekend.
When you rock up to Ellen Road, you're rocking up to one of the finest establishments in world football. I mean, there is all sorts of stuff on the ground when you get there. I'm not talking pleasantries. The walls are cracked. It's got that old ancient aura to it. And when you step through into the stadium, you just feel the energy tingling through the fan base. And listen, we need it, because it's been big for us this season, keeping that as a fortress and keeping it as a place where we can see sustained good performances, which have been hard to come by through portions of this season. I mean, that 5-0 against you was a real low point, and it's been very difficult. When you ask me what can we expect to see from Leeds, it's difficult to put my finger on it, because we've been very up and down until we've gone on this last run, which has been obviously only one defeat in the last 9.
One defeat in the last 9. You've had a few draws, huh?
5 draws, to be specific. So it's
including against Everton.
Looks a little bit better than it was. Yeah, of course, 3 wins in that time. The Chelsea at home was, of course, the big one. And then we had Liverpool, Man United in there. But when I look at the way we've been performing against some of these bigger teams, that's the only thing giving me a little bit of confidence. When I see the way that we set up against Liverpool, when we changed to the 5 at the back, when I saw the way we played that second half against City, when I saw the way we played against Man United at Ellen Road, that's what is giving me a little bit of confidence to go into this game and say, you know what? we might be able to keep ourselves in it. We might be able to nick it. I think we'll be a little bit more direct. We started off the season trying to play 4-3-3, trying to play sideways, backwards football, retain a lot of possession, and we weren't really going anywhere with it. Hence why we got absolutely waltzed by you lot at the Emirates, which we at this place, which we will not be going into too much. But he's changed to the 5 at the back. There's a little bit more rigidity, a little bit more directness. You're allowing Calvert-Lewin to get involved in the game more. Brendan Aronson is kind of occupying that free roam position behind him, and there just seems to be a lot more fluidity to our attack, and hopefully we can see a little bit of that. And you would expect you to come to Ellen Road and try and play us off the park, am I correct?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, and we will talk to Dan about this. I'm expecting that Arsenal will have the majority of the ball. We were talking on the way down here, myself and you. I think you're pretty much set up in a low block, because that seems to have been fairly successful against Arsenal in recent weeks. So that's what I'm expecting to see. But moving over to my boy Dan, now I know you're going to cover this elsewhere, but the teams, you saw the team against Man United, team against Kairat. Is there anybody sticking their hand up for a possible starting berth against Leeds? How do you see the team for the game against Leeds?
I'll be honest with you, the Kairat game, there was a real opportunity for a few players to knock on the door. There was definitely an opportunity for them to break down Mikel Arteta's door and say, why are you not starting me? And if I'm brutally honest, I was fairly disappointed with what I saw from some of the individuals, particularly the guys that I think have got a great opportunity at the moment, because there's a couple of positions where I feel like the players in the first 11 right now aren't really on the best of form. And I've been a little bit disappointed with some of the individuals that I've seen in the coming games. Okay, let's go through it. Noni Madueke. Exciting to watch, some people say. I would probably flip it and say it's quite frustrating at times to watch, because I think it's great to have someone who goes one-on-one, but if there's zero output, you can't take the mick out of Alan Saint-Maximin, Alexis Iwobi, Adama Traore and Jeremy Doku if you might have one of those in your side. I think we flat to deceive with some of these wingers. Yeah, that's right.
Overs, the pace, they beat a man, but then ultimately breaks down and nothing happens.
And he's got to be careful, because he's on the cusp of those names that I've mentioned, in my opinion. Now, £52 million, I'd expect a little bit more than that, if I'm honest. Eberechi Eze, I don't think he's quite done enough to be guaranteed a start in place in the 10. But with Martin Ødegaard's recent performances, I probably would be playing him. So I think with Eze, I think we're so starved at the moment of that position that we see a pass forward and go, he's got to play. He's passed the ball forward. I kind of need to see more than passing the ball forward from. I need to see creativity, I need to see goals, I need to see assists. So there's a couple of players there that I was a little bit maybe disappointed. And I've got to be real with you, and I'll do the predicted 11, I'm sure, later, and it will be on. But I've got to be real with you. Right now, if I select my 11, there's 9 players I'm aware of, and I'll roll the dice for the other 2. And I'll roll it and go, oh, attacking midfield, it's landed on Eze, that'll do. And then you roll the dice and go, oh, it's landed on Jesus, that'll do, for number 9. I don't think any of them are really grabbing the ball by the horns to say, nah, this is my position, get me out of it. And that's where I'm a little bit disappointed with what I'm seeing. So just a quick touch on Leeds, though, because I'll be honest with you, I do actually genuinely believe the Premier League is a better place with Leeds in it. I really do. I've been to Ellen Road. I think it's a fantastic stadium. It's a fortress. It's a tough place to go. This could be a banana skin for us. So I look at it now and I feel like maybe I was a little bit wrong about Leeds this season, because I didn't feel Daniel Farke would be able to keep them up. I kind of look at the Daniel Farke from Norwich days. But I think the signing of Calvert-Lewin, everyone rolled their eyes and laughed at. It's turned out to be a very good signing. And, you know, James, you say that you've drew a few games. Draws for us kill us in a title race, but for Leeds in a relegation battle, you take it. They take a draw at the weekend, 100%.
Yeah, so, but at some point you need to start turning those into wins,
but you take points whenever you get them, right, in the relegations of it. Whereas a draw for us would be, as we've seen, it's not good enough. Draws are like losses in a title race. So we can't draw, but you know what? Leeds, if they get a few points, if West Ham and Burnley and these guys and Wolves, of course, are still losing, then they'll take the points and they'll be clear of that relegation. So I think Arsenal have got to prove that they're better than Leeds, because we all know they are. We've got to prove it on the pitch at the weekend.
100%. Well, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be alone on the Daniel Farke thing. I mean, most Leeds fans wanted him out. It was only until recently I didn't want him out. I've never called for a manager's head. That's not my style. That's not the name of my game. But
to say that you were unimpressed with him, I think is
everyone was unimpressed with him. Let's be honest here. We were on a one-way street straight back down to the Championship until he changed it up. He showed something that we never thought he had. A lack of stubbornness, because he's been very stubborn his entire time, changed to the 5 back, and it actually started working. There's something I did want to touch on, because I don't get the chance to do this with you guys too much, but you touch on Eberiche Eze, of course. Do you think he's been given enough game time and enough freedom when he's on the pitch to do what he wants to do offensively to be judged this harshly? I think, because I've spoken to a few Arsenal fans that have said, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of him. He hasn't kicked on the way he has. Do you think he's even being played in the right position and system and or given enough game time? Because I think he's been too stop and start with his amount of minutes.
I think you can answer that in two ways. You can answer it the same as the number 9 and say, is it a system problem or is it an individual performance problem or a personnel problem? And you can also look at it and say he's played more games this season than he ever has for Crystal Palace. And you can also say that he has been given an opportunity, and I'm still not sure that he's quite got that position nailed down. And lastly, what I'll say is, I don't know if I'm alone here, Laurie. You might disagree with this. I kind of I've got what I expected from Eze. I have. I didn't think he was going to be Alexis Sanchez. I didn't think he was going to be a Mesut Ozil. I didn't think he was going to be the key individual that gets us across the line. I thought he was going to be a contributor that came in and gave competition for Martin Odegaard, and I kind of feel like that's what he's done. So I'm not like, wow, this guy's absolutely nothing what I expected. I thought he'd have 15 goals by now and be our best player. That weren't me. I thought he'd come in and contribute, score, assist. That's kind of what he's done. So I've kind of got what I expected. Now, that's a lot of money, 68 million. But I'm not the guy spending 68 million on him, because I always thought that was a player we were getting, was a contributor, not a first starter and one to take us across the line. But that's just me.
I hear that because I do hear that. Sorry, but I do beg to differ with respect. That's my guy Dan. He always talks a lot of sense. However, I would say this. First and foremost, I want to declare an interest because I was a big advocate of Eze coming. Of all the signings we made, and I think there were 8 in the summer, he was the one that excited me the most. I've got to admit. And what I would say about Eze is the talent is clearly there. You saw that the hat-trick against Spurs, goal against Crystal Palace. And in other games, he's had his moments. He looks classy, he looks mercurial. However, he's not been sustained. He's underwhelmed at times. And I think the thing with Eze is that a lot of Arsenal fans have expressed some disappointment. If you look at his body language, he's got a kind of laconic kind of start, laid back kind of start.
Yeah.
And when things are not quite going our way, if you look at him, some people will immediately look at that and think, look, he's not putting a shift in, he's not running hard enough, he's not, producing the work rate that, say, Odegaard does. The visuals of Odegaard is that even when he's not contributing that much, he looks like he is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of let Eze down a little bit. But I do believe in him. I think he does need more game time. However, I've also got to be fair, so he does need to do more. There have been opportunities there for him when you thought he's going to go on and have a shot and do something, and he's not quite done it. Now, whether that's a system thing, like Dan says,
lack of a flow state because he's not getting the regular minutes, perhaps. So I say that from opposition perspective, right? Because what I see with someone like Eze, he's a match winner, as you said, mercurial, great word. He can pick the ball up, take it past 3 people, jink the defender out of the way and slap it in the bottom corner. So I'm looking at that from an opposition perspective, and that's a player that would scare me, because we are a team that can leave little spaces in between the midfield and defence, those little pockets that can be exploited by those kind of great ball carriers. Because once there's a ball carrier that comes up against Leeds a lot of the time and they break through that midfield, it kind of disorientates us and it leaves us scrambling a little bit. You even saw Gyökeres absolutely blitz a couple of people. And when does Gyökeres carry the ball forward in a match? You know what I mean? That's really saying something. So it's a big danger for me.
Scored twice.
Yeah, Mr. Hair Flicks per 90. Yes, don't remind me.
Just quickly to wrap up on Eze, because I do think you make good points. I do think he has to improve, and I do think that he needs to shoot more. But I will say that when we signed him, I was a little bit like yourself, like, oh. And then I slipped back and I thought, am I more excited about how we signed him in terms of nicking him off Tottenham, or am I excited like, right, we've got our Alexis Sanchez, we're going to go win the league? And I think it was probably I'm more excited the way we got him, and I like the player. Yeah. One thing I will say is when I spoke to Palace fans, I thought they'd be really bitter, like, oh, he's not even that good anyway. They said, look, we're gutted he's going to go, right? He's a big game player. However, you will probably expect 1 or 2 goals in every 5 or 6 games. He's not going to get you 15, 20 a season. So just be realistic about that. And the other thing they said was don't play him left wing. And I thought, really? I think he's good on the left. He isn't good on the left. He's in the central.
I think that's definitely the case. What I would say about Eze as well is that I honestly thought that, and I still do believe this, I think it will take time. No disrespect to Palace, but I thought he was outstanding at Palace. And I'm thinking if you put him in a team with better players and a better environment, a bigger club, he will show more. Maybe the shirt he's wearing a little heavy
so he
on
needs
him
a bigger
now.
club than Arsenal, that's what you're saying.
No,
well,
I'm
he
not
could come
saying
down
that
to
at all.
Ellen Road, a little bit of Snatch link up in there, Tanaka spraying balls through to him, I wouldn't mind it.
Talking of that, I was going to ask you, who do Arsenal need to look out for this week? Obviously, I know you're going to say Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's in a good run of form.
Big Dom.
But who else do Arsenal need to be wary of?
You know what? There's someone who's going to go under the radar a little bit for a lot of people. And let me tell you about Brendan Aronson. Very, very hot and cold. All right. Obviously, when we got relegated,
Where
he
does
left,
he play,
he came
for
back.
The people who don't know?
Well, originally he came in as a number 10. Then, because we didn't have any wingers, he was forced to play out on the right wing, which isn't his natural game. Then the past few games, since we've gone to 5 at the back, we don't actually play with any wingers. So he's been playing in the striker role next to Calvert-Lewin, which is really more of a free-roaming 10 role. He's almost playing like, they nickname him the Med for Messi. He's almost playing like him in the fact he's occupying 4 or 5 different positions in a game. He's got great work rate. He'll press from the front. He'll never get tired from minute 1 to minute 90. And he's occupying the striker role, the number 10 role. He's dropping out wide. He's actually been very impressive. Scored against Man United at Ellen Road as well, which is obviously huge for him. A couple of goals against Newcastle as well. So I think he could go under the radar. I think obviously you're looking to the midfield general. You're looking at Anton Stach. That guy
I know you're a big fan of Anton
different.
Stach,
He's jacked. He's stacked. He's just dripping in football quality. He's got a great touch. He can whip it in from a set piece. He can score from a set piece. He's a great ball carrier as well. And he's got good defensive capabilities. But I think the game will be won and lost in the midfield. When I looked at the last time... Huh? No what?
I said Ballon d'Or nominee then, yeah?
No, I've only said that about one player when Leeds were about to play Arsenal, that this guy was going to win the Ballon d'Or. And that guy was Rafinha, who should have won it last year. So when I speak about Ballon d'Or winners, I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think the game will be won and lost in the midfield. And I think you'd be looking to key players like if Tanaka gets any game time, or especially Ethan Ampadu, who has been humongous for us. When in the big games that we've got something out of, yes, it has been down to Ethan Ampadu. Because actually we like it when a team tries to attack us the way you do, especially at Ellen Road. We can hit them on the counter-attack quickly, and a big component of that has been Ethan Ampadu. His ability to break down play. He's a very physical player, and he's got great legs on him, so he can be getting all around the pitch, almost covering the position of 2 players at time. He's a physical specimen, gets stuck in the challenge, and he actually has a bit of quality to pick that ball through as well. And a lot of great leadership skills, which I've been surprised by, you know, very, very happily surprised by how he's stepped up to the game. So I think you'd be looking at him, Stach, and then maybe obviously you'd want Dominic Calvert-Lewin firing up top. But that will be the difference, and the decider for me is the midfield battle.
Giving them the big build-up, so yeah.
Well, they're a quality team. What can I say, mate? They're the big dogs, mate. You're coming to the home of the big dogs now, mate. Not this stadium. Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium, but doesn't have that je ne sais quoi of going to Ellen Road. The stadium's rumbling. You know, it's going to be a different experience to the time we played here at the Emirates.
Dan must be quaking in his boots.
Well, the last time I went there, we won 5-1, but I did get COVID from it. So the away, I will say the away in the concourse of the away end at Ellen Road is probably the size of this square metre. Wow. It's so small. Everyone got COVID last time I went there. It was back 2021, I think it was. So hopefully we won't get that this time. But I actually agree with some of the players that James has mentioned. What I will say just quickly is that I think there's a element of inconsistency with some of those individuals. They're a bit hot and cold. Aronson is a great shout. I think Stack's probably been one of their better players from a little upset of Leeds. I think he's been excellent. You know, Willie Nonto, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we all know the players. They can turn it on when they want. Sometimes that's dangerous. So you don't know what you're going to get. So Arsenal got to go and do their thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're talking about context, we're talking about teams, tactics, players to look out for. Now let's move to predictions. Now, you're the home team, so we're going to let you go last. We're going to go with Dan first. Dan, Arsenal, away from home, must-win game. How do you see the game playing out, and what's your scoreline prediction?
This is going to be a hostile game. I think it's a hostile atmosphere. I think we know what we get when we go to Ellen Road. I think that's the one big reason people will say Leeds have got a great chance of staying up and getting clear of relegation is actually because of their home kind of ground and what it's like there. This is going to be tight, in my opinion. And I think Arsenal have got to show why they are top of the league. And that's because they've been consistent and good defensively. And I'm going to remain with us being good defensively. And my prediction is that we will nick this 1-0. It might be a disgusting set piece again, a situation.
Or one of our favourite players, Owen goal.
Old Ollie Gherkin up front, yeah. So I'll be real. I think it will be 1-0 to the Arsenal, and we'll keep it tight, and we'll take 3 points. And I'd take that. I just want 3 points, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see it going that way. James, I'm sure you'll have a slightly different opinion on it, but let's hear it.
Well, I mean, 1-0 wouldn't be too bad given the spanking we got last time. But do I think Leeds are going to keep a clean sheet? No, you're damn right I don't. I mean, we couldn't keep a lead if we had a dog on a leash right here. Let me tell you that for nothing, mate. I have a feeling that
Everton, did you?
Yeah, I mean, I would take I think the game will be a close one. I think also the fact that you got that big second leg coming up in the cup, obviously, that could do one or two things. That's either going to motivate you to turn things around quickly. It's either going to inspire people to get themselves into the pecking order for that game, or it's going to be a little bit of a distraction given the Man United game as well. Maybe the pressure could start to ramp up from that perspective.
I think Dan would agree with me that this very much is our priority, the league.
Well, that's what one or two ways means. It means that option is still on the table. But as I said, I think it could go one or two ways, but I'm hoping for the latter. I'm hoping that there's just a little bit of doubt creeping in from that Man United game on the weekend. You are susceptible. You're not quite that unbreakable force that you were at the beginning of the season. There are more gaps to exploit, and I just hope we can nick a couple of goals. And with the Ellen Road factor, we will have a good 10 to 15 minute spell at least. And sometimes that's all you need in a game, especially when a team tries to play out the same way you're going to. It's going to give us space in behind, which we usually starve with. So I can't sit here and say I'm confident that we're going to roll you over. It is Arsenal. You are top of the league for a reason, and we've been struggling for a reason. But with a lot of optimism, I'm going to say I'm finally going to get to watch us beat you. I think it'll be close 2-1.
Interesting, right? So as the host, I get the opportunity to have the last word. And I'm going to be a bit more expansive than my guy Dan. I think we're going to go 3-1.
Okay.
I'm going 3-1 to Arsenal. I do think you'll score.
I hope you're right and I'm wrong, man.
But I do fancy a few goals this week. I mean, listen, we put 5 past you at the Emirates. I'm not saying it's going to be like that at your place. But I think you'll see a bit of a backlash from the players. I think you'll see the likes of Havertz coming to the play. And I think you'll see an improved Arsenal for sure. I think this is big. We need it. More than you, actually. We actually need this one more than you. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
No, not necessarily.
You can avoid.
No, West Ham and Forest are right up there now. You know, Liverpool sold against Bournemouth, Spurs sold against West Ham. It's getting close down there. I wouldn't be sure.
I think you guys will be all right, funny enough. But I do think we'll take the points.
And I think City are gonna. I think City are gonna lose to Spurs this weekend as well. So I think you're gonna have a little bit more breathing room. So
I think so.
They're
Right,
both a team.
So there you go, people. My boy Danny's predicted 1-0 to the Arsenal. My boy James predictably has gone for a Leeds 2-1 win, and I'm going for a 3-1 win for Arsenal. But thanks to my boy James.
Pleasure as always.
My boy Dan. Thanks to you guys for watching. Catch you on the next one. We're out.